Everyone, New York Times bestselling author Jamie Brumfield. Welcome back to my channel, Balanced Life with Jamie B. And today we're going to talk about the one thing that you can do to get started with creating a balanced life in your life right now, today, and why it's so important to do this every month, why it's so important to know this information so that you can go ahead and continue to work on creating your balanced life. And I'm doing this as a live Q&A. So we're going to go through the process, talk a little bit about that, and then I'm going to open questions. So definitely in the chat section to the right. If it's right on your screen, it might be left. I don't know. It's always backwards. List any kind of questions you have. We'll go ahead and answer those at the end as we work through the process. And say hi. Tell us where you're from. I love finding out that I love when people when we're doing lives and they're telling me they're all over the country, all over the world. It's super cool. You know, it's super neat how technology can connect us this way. And I am sharing some valuable information. This is actually a project that I do with each one of my clients every month. Or not every month, but when I first start working with them, either they know how to do the balanced life graph, which we're going to talk about today because they've watched my videos, or I have them do it. I have them watch the video and then come and do it and then send me that copy of what they think their life looks like on a whole. They send that to me before we start our first session. So we can kind of just work through that and kind of figure out what areas, what's the biggest impact that we can make while we're working together. Because we don't work together forever. We just work together while they're learning the tools so that they can move forward and do it on their own. So this is the number one tool that I use with my clients. And so I'm teaching it in this video. I'm talking a little bit more about it, and I'm here to answer any questions that you might have. And I also recommend that this is done every month. So once you're, whether you're working with me or you're working with someone else, you should always do this once a month just to see and go back on it and look at it and say, well, this is where I was last month, all my work, and this is where I am this month. I've improved all these areas. So yay, celebrate that success. So I always recommend that you go back and you review it and then you do a new one every month. And you're going to find that things change every month. Things are going to change and things are going to surprise you. But the number one thing that you can do today to start creating a happier and more balanced life is an analysis. You have to know where you're starting and then know where you want to go. And then you can create your plan to get there. Without these two bookends, starting, end point, how are you going to get there? Then that's when you look at a bookshelf and you see all these books on a shelf and they don't have bookends. Well, all of a sudden you see they're all over the place, right? Same thing in life. You've got to have these two bookends. You got to know where you're starting. You got to understand where you're at now so that you know what to work on. And then you have to know where you want to go so that you can get there. So you've got these bookends, and these are super, super important. And this is one of the tools I'm going to teach you today, is one of the tools that you can use to create that start point, to know where you're coming from, to know where you're at, and really look at your life as a whole and know what really needs to have the most impactful area of work. If you're watching this on the replay, know all the questions will be at the end. So if you're watching during the video and you have questions, put it in there and we will go back through at the end of this video. Also, stay and watch those questions in those question and answer section, because if you're watching on replay, because somebody might be asking the same question you're not asking, and it'll be like, oh yeah, light bulb goes on. I love it when those moments hit, right? When those light bulbs go on. They're great moments for me. And I'm sure that all of you watching feel the same way. So for those of you turning in, please give this video a like. Thank you so much for being here. Share this out so other people can get this. Let's get started. So first you're going to need, this is such an easy tool. All you need is a notebook, crayons or markers or color pens, and a pen. That's what you need. And then the knowledge of what the balanced life graph is and what components are there. If you don't know that, you can come back to this video. You can check out other videos on my channel. I talk about them. And also you can just make note in your journey journal as we're talking. I'm going to give you those areas. So let's go over those 8 areas right now so that you know what we're talking about. And then I'm going to get in more in depth with you. I'm going to get more, bless you, baby. My daughter's over here doing her puzzle. to the left. Balanced life, right? So she's over here doing her puzzle and she just sneezed. She's got allergies. So let's get started with talking about what the 8 areas are. First of all, the first area that you should put focus in on your life and make an analysis of is relationships. Second area is your professional growth, your professional career, your professional path. I basically just label this as professional. We're going to talk a little bit more as we break it down. Then the spiritual path. You've got 3: relationship, professional, spiritual. Then environment. We're going to break all of these down here in a minute, so stay with me. I'm just going over these 4 broad topics for you right now so you can write them down. Recreation, health, personal growth, and finance. Now, I want you to take a moment, and I'm going to give you a moment here. I've listed all 8 areas. And I want you to take a moment while I type these into the chat. I'm going to type these into the chat from my family channel, my vlog channel. I'm going to type these areas into the chat, but I want you to take a moment in your journey journal, your notebook, and write out how you can break those areas down. How would you break those areas down? What kind of focus do you need in those areas? Kind of just write down. So for example, when it comes to relationships, I'm going to give you this one as a freebie, but I want you to do the other 7 while I'm writing these in the chat. So with relationships, your family relationships are different than your relationship with your intimate partner. Your intimate partner relationship is different than your relationship with your coworkers or your interpersonal relationships at work. Your interpersonal relationships are different than your relationships with your friends. You can literally break down the area of relationships on your analysis every month to those 4 different areas. And if you take a moment and break those down, you're going to see that those 4 different areas are completely different because they're different kinds of relationships. So if you bundle it all, when I learned this tool, it was just all bundled into relationships. I am of the mindset that I think it's super important to do more work up front so it's less work on the back end. It's always been that way. So when I'm doing my analysis work, I always put the extra effort in during that time frame to make sure that I'm working less. So I'm working smarter, not harder. In my opinion, it works really well. My clients love it. People I work with love it. My membership clubs love it. My training courses, they seem to like that. I always put the work in the beginning for the analysis piece so I really know what's going on. Look, here's the deal. The whole purpose to counseling, which by the way, I'm not a counselor, I'm a coach, but I am going to school for that. So the whole purpose to counseling, therapy, coaching, all of those modalities, the whole purpose to that is to get to the root cause. So if you're doing the extra work up front, it's a lot easier. Because then you're not working down the road, middle of the month, and say, gee, I've been focusing on relationships, but I didn't need to focus in on these other 3 areas. All I needed to do was work on this one relationship with this one friend. See, it's a lot easier that way. Then the second half of that month is a lot easier because you've already got things in line here. Now you're putting the focus where you need it. But wouldn't it have been easier if you put the focus where you needed it in the beginning and you didn't work 2 weeks into the month and realize all my focus is not on the right area? That's why I feel that the analysis piece is super important. That's why I thought it would be really important to do a live video on this. I have other videos talking about the Balanced Life Wheel, this tool that I use on my channel, but I don't have any live videos where I can actually answer questions. So lots of those happen when I'm doing my consultation or when we're in coaching sessions, when I'm working with clients, but I don't have a schedule where I can work with a massive amounts of clients. So my YouTube channel, this channel here on Facebook and YouTube, they allow me the opportunity to share these tools so people can help themselves through self-discovery and self-coaching. So that's what this tool is all about. It's about you self-coaching yourself. You want to work with me in the future, you're more than welcome to contact me and see if I have an opening, but you can also use these just on your own. So do the analysis up front. So I'm going to type these in, and then your task while I'm typing these in real quick is to just kind of look at those other 7 areas and write out how you would break those apart. And we're going to talk about that, how I usually break them apart. But you may be different. Everybody's different. Everybody you work with is different. Everybody in the world is different. And that's what makes the world a beautiful place, because we're all different. So we add different flavors to the mix. I think that's beautiful and wonderful. But so write that down while I type these in for you. And for those of you tuning in, be sure to introduce yourself in the chat. We'd love to know where you're from and even your channel if you want us to check out your channel. The channel I'm commenting with is my family vlog, so if you want to check it out, you're more than welcome to, and go over there, check it out, and subscribe later. But I'm going to give you another minute or so to just write down and break down those areas, and then we're going to start talking about how I would break them down. Is your puzzle coming together good? Yeah. Good. Mommy likes to see that.
Okay, here a second. Mommy, are you still videotaping?
I sure am.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and pull us back so we can talk about these different areas and get it broken down for you a little bit more. I just wanted to give you a few minutes to do that. Thank everybody who's already done this with me and you're sticking around for the rest of this, because I know some of you who are on the video might have already done this. Thank you for being around. Well, we gave those new the chance to do that. So let's break it down. So we broke down relationships. If you want to write this down in your journey journal as well, you can say coworkers, your intimate partner, family, and friends. Those are the 4 areas that I like to have people focus in on when they're looking at relationships. You might be different. You might find that you don't need it. Maybe you're right now single, so you don't need to focus in on an intimate relationship. Or maybe you're single and you want to be in a relationship, so maybe you do need to focus in on an intimate relationship. We make choices. Some of us want to be single for a while and get work on ourselves, and some of us are ready to be in a relationship. You may not work in a work environment, so you might not have coworkers per se at an office. Maybe you work from home, but you could still have coworkers that you communicate with through email or chat. How is that relationship going? So it's up to you. You know your life better than I do. I'm just sharing with you what the broad breakdown is for each of these areas. Professional, I usually break down into working the career that you want to be in, the one that you want to retire in, the job that you want to retire in. Are you working that career? If you're not, then you probably are going to give this a low grade. If you're working in that career, but it's not working well, you're going to give it a low grade. But if you're doing great, then you're going to give it a high grade. But then some of us have not gotten to that career where we want to retire, the career that we want to work for the rest of our lives. We're just doing the job now. We're working, doing the job now. So what our job, working in it's not a career, it's a job. So if you're in that situation, you may say, you know, I'm in the job I want, that I need now to get me to the career that I want to be in. So you may have that broken down into two areas. You may not have a job right now. And if that's the case, then the job and the career are both going to be lower, right? Maybe you're working to get a job so that you can start going to college so you can get into the career you want, you know, those kind of things. So break it down. I usually break it down between career and job. And then spirituality. Spirituality is not just religion, although I do say if you are religious, you want to have religion there. If you're not religious and you want to look into being religious, then you want to have religion there. But spiritual path is your spiritual journey. So I break it down into those two different areas. They're totally different. Religion is about community, and your spiritual journey, your spiritual path is your individual path to enlightenment. So that's the way I usually break down those two areas, but they all fall under spirituality. Another thing you can put under spirituality, if you feel that this might fit into that area, is being volunteering, because lots of people do charity work and those kind of things because it connects them to helping other people. So sometimes spirituality also falls underlined with that. And then environment. I usually have people break that down by social environment, your friends, your family, your social environment, your online environment. We live in a world where it's all about online anymore. So your online environment, is it toxic or is it healthy? Then also your work environment, your home environment. If you're working on getting your diet in shape, maybe you might even put your kitchen environment, because you want to look at, you know, where your food is and how healthy your kitchen is, that kind of thing. That's if you are working on that. But really, I break it down to social, work, online, and home. Then recreation is hobby, and then fun. And sometimes you can also put that more falls under a spiritual path, but some people put like meditation, that kind of thing. If they want to, they could put that under recreation as well. But hobbies are one thing, and having fun and going out and doing stuff with the family are two different things. So you can break that down into two different areas. You have your personal hobby, and then how else do you kick back and have fun? How else do you do that? Those kind of things. So you break that down into two areas. Then you've got health. I usually break down health into multiple areas. Diet is one, exercise another, sleep is another. And then the new one that I've started putting into, so this might be new to some of you who have followed my other videos, but the new one that I've started putting in under health is the mind and body connection. I think this is super important. I am a hypnotherapist. I do NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. I'm going to school right now to become a mental health counselor in the future once I get my master's degree and license. So the mind and body connection is huge. And so I've added this to my health parameters. And I think that taking a moment to look at where you are with your mind and your body connection and making sure that it's connected at a high level, or if it isn't, working on getting that connection better is super important. So then we've got personal growth. That's development, which is an extrinsic factor. So what are you doing for your personal growth development? Are you taking classes? Are you working on your self-esteem? Are you working on, you know, how you can design your desired future? I did not mean to plug my training, but that is actually something that will help with personal growth. So what are you working on extrinsically, externally? What are you working on for development? And then the other piece is, how are you feeling? How are you feeling about yourself? How are you feeling about your life? How are you feeling about what's going on? Those kind of things are intrinsic factors, which is internal factors. So I break down the personal growth into those two separate areas: your external factors and your internal factors. And then finance is the last. And finance is income, what kind of income you have coming in every month. Maybe you might want to break it down by, how does your budget look? Are you staying within your budget? This is super important now with inflation coming down the pike, and it's only going to get worse. I talk about that on some of my other channels, but there's huge things coming down the turnpike. If you go shopping in the grocery store, you'll notice that things have gone up a ton. Gas has gone up a ton. So budgeting might be super important for you right now. Income, investment in retirement, those are all important factors. So you want to break it down into those areas. Once you have that, once you have broken it down into those areas and you have really looked at each area, you want to grade it. You want to grade it on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being very, very needs a lot of work, and 10 being you're a superstar in this area. I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to have very few ones, you're going to have very few 10s. Very few ones, very few 10s. Your ranges are going to be more in the 3s, 6s, 8s. You might have a couple 9s where you're feeling really good about what's going on in your life right now in that area. But you're going to have very few 1s and 10s. If you have a lot of 1s and 10s, reevaluate. That's usually what I do when I look at somebody's balanced life graph and I'm looking at theirs personally and I see a lot of 1s and 10s. I tell them, okay, so let's do this again, because you want to be as honest as possible, because this is going to reduce the work that you're going to have in the future. So you might as well dig in, be honest, and tell yourself really what's going on with these areas and really delve into it. Because then when you look at this graph, you're going to be able to say, this month I really need to work on this area. This is super important to me and it's going to be impactful. And that's how you choose what you work on every month, because you can't work on everything. So you work on the areas that are going to have the most impact. And that's what will help you as you're moving forward with creating a happy and balanced life. This is the number one tool you can do every month to get you there. So let's break down what you do now that you have it scaled on a 1 to 10 basis. You've scaled it out and you are now ready to put it into a visual aid that you can look at and glance at real quickly every month to see where you're at. On your Journey Journal notebook pad, you simply want to create a pie graph. And I am going to do one very quickly with you, so we have more time for questions. So we have people who are hanging in, and I want to make sure we get to your questions. By the way, if you have questions, definitely ask them now in the comment section so I can get to them when we get going. So you want to create a pie graph with 8 main areas. So you'll see the 4 on top, 4 on bottom. Then you're going to label each area and you're going to break it down as we talked about with the different areas. You're going to break it down. So let me show you how that looks with relationships. We're going to go once again with relationships. So I am going to create 4 areas on the relationship. Okay, so I've broken it down to 4. You'll notice it doesn't have to be perfect. There's no need for it to be perfect. Now in these 4 areas, I'm going to write, first of all, I'm going to write relationship on the outside. So, and then I'm going to write the factors on the inside. So intimate, friend, family, coworkers. Now you'll see that. Now you're going to go all the way around. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, y'all. This is just a tool for you to use every month. You don't have to print. You don't have to make a special graph for this. Just do it in your notebook. This is super easy, super simple. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're just creating a visual aid. So do that with your relationships, and then all the other areas, you want to also break those down. So go through and you want to break them down as far as how that area looks. On the top, you can write this out from the center. You can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 10, 1, 2, 3, and the same up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 10. You can do that if you want. I don't usually do it because I eyeball it, but it's up to you. Again, this is something I do every month. It doesn't have to be perfect. It never was created to be a perfect asymmetrical. It's just to be in your journey journal so you can go back to it every month and see where you're going, what progress you're doing, and how when you focus on one area, how it impacts the other areas that month. Because it does. A balanced life is all about a balancing act. You've got 8 different areas in your life, and if you focus on one area a lot, you're going to find that the other areas will will suffer that month, and you want to make sure that you readjust for the next month to make sure that you're making the adjustments to create that balanced life, to create the balance in your life. Homeostasis is all about balance. This is all about creating homeostasis in your life between all different 8 areas of your life. It is an ongoing process. It's an every month process. It's an all the time thing, and it should have a page in your journey journal every month where you go back and say, hey, this really needs a focus. I need to do something about this month. And that way you're reminding yourself. If you don't write it down, did it really happen? If you don't write it down, is it a goal? If you don't write it down, did it really happen? If you don't write it down, does it have any kind of focal point? Do you even think about it consciously if it's not written down? Most likely you probably don't think about it until things start exploding in your life. And you're all of a sudden, oh, wow, how did that happen? But if you write it down, you're focusing in on it. You're consciously making the effort to focus in on it. You're going to find that you're going to live a happier, more balanced life automatically because you've written it down. So go through and you want to do that. And while you're doing that, I'm going to show you how these sections will look once you fill them in. I'm just doing this for show. So this isn't my personal information or anything. And I'm just going to pull out my crayons and I'm going to pick colors. Now, really, a lot of times you can do art therapy in this, and you could say what color, this feeling, what color is this connected to on my balanced life graph? I mean, is this, so I'm going to say blue is connected to my coworkers. So my coworkers are, you know, I'm going to say it's kind of low, seeing how the majority of my coworkers are, I'm not in communication with them. For example, I work from home, right? So blue is my coworkers. Then you might feel like, oh, you know, red is for passions. So let's make red for the intimate. Again, we're dealing with the art therapy idea around, you know, colors emit feelings or connections. So I'm going to say the intimate relationship is super high. This is good because this is how you're going to see how the intimate relationship and the coworkers, the relationships don't have anything to do with each other. So family, I'm going to say, we'll just go with friends here. I've got very few friends that are friends, but those friends are friends, and they're friends for life. And so I will rate that I will rate that high as well. And maybe family. So we're going to go with family. Family's very grounded. So we're going to take a brown, see how art therapy kind of plays in that. And I feel like I haven't contacted my family much this month. So maybe I need to do a little work on that. All right, now I'm going to show you how your balanced life graph will start to look. You see how that gives you a really good example of what needs to be worked on. So you may go 3 months without talking to family and then realize, wow, what happened? Or you'll do this, you know, at the beginning of the month, you'll say, wow, I didn't really talk to my family last month. Maybe I need to get in contact with them some more. And so I need to, you put a focus in there. Now, all of a sudden you can increase family just by making some phone calls every month, making a weekly phone call where you do a video chat with family or something. You have now increased your family area for that month. Do you see how one little focus, one small little piece of this puzzle can make a huge difference? And so you do the whole area. You do the whole balanced life graph. You break down all 8 different areas and you break them down by each different area so you really see what's going on. You know, your intimate relationship may be going great. You're like, okay, it's going good. I'm feeling good about my intimate relationship. So my relationships are fine. When was the last time you talked to your family? things are really crazy right now with everything that's going on in the political landscape and how things are being politicized, right? So have you had time to talk to your family? There is opportunity there. You can find that by just focusing in on the 8 areas of your life and realizing, wow, this really needs an area. So let's go to professional. So I usually put relationships and professional on the top. So let's just do one more area so you can see how this comes together so nicely as you do your whole thing. And when we're done with this video, you're more than, I would recommend doing all the rest. But right now I want to kind of just break it down and let you ask your questions and that kind of thing. So we're getting close to the question section. So ask away while I pull this in. So for professional, I said you've got your career and you've got your job for now. So you got 2 areas. You can do other things in professional too. You might find that there needs to be other things for your professional aspect, but right now, job for now, career. So how do you feel about that? Pull out your crayons. Where are you at? So for example, I'm going to college. So I'm feeling that I'm making movements towards getting my career. It's not there yet, but I'm doing everything I can to get me there. So I'm feeling pretty confident in my career as far as my career growth and where I'm at. So I'm going to put it fairly high, right? I chose yellow because I feel sunny about, the prospect of my future and my thing, right? My job now. There's nothing wrong with my job right now. I'm performing well. I'm doing good. I'm not having any issues. So my job right now is doing really well. So it's actually a benefit for me and it's helping to pay the bills, right? So I'm going to score my job right now pretty good too. If I was unhappy in my job, then I'd probably scoring it lower. But right now my job for now is pretty happy. I'm satisfied with it. So now you see there's a new section. So now you've got your job or whatever, your area that you're focusing in on, it's high or low, and your career is high or low. So you can see that the career or the professional, at least for this person, your example, me, I'm being the avatar here, is doing really good. I'm feeling pretty confident about where I'm at with that. So where are you at? How are you looking? What does yours look like? Go ahead and do your professional area. And then when you're breaking this down, you're going to see. Now, while we're waiting for some questions, I'm going to take an area and let's just say that this person is struggling in health. So we're going to do health, and I'm going to pull this up. So I'm going to add health right here, and we're going to break it down. And so diet, exercise, sleep, and mind and body. Okay, so we'll go with those areas. So we've got so let's just say we're looking at diet being things are changing with the diet. So we're gonna score the diet low for this person because things are just changing and we're trying to figure it out. This person is not doing much exercise, and this is actually driving them nuts. They want to do more exercise for health benefits. There's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot of anxiety going on in the world because there's so many things that you turn on in this news or whatever. You're just really struggling with what's going on in the world. So you've got some anxiety, you're not getting any sleep. And then the money connection is, let's just say that's all falling apart because you haven't had time to meditate, you haven't had time to make that connection, you haven't had time to strengthen that connection. So now when you look at this, when you're looking at this particular graph, you realize health is the most impactful area that you can work on. All these other can do small things, but health needs the biggest impact. So that's probably going to be your focus for the next month. Once you finish all the other areas and make sure that that's the case. But I'm not going to go into all of the other areas because, again, this is a hypothetical example. You get the point. This is what your graph looks like. Now you want to go over to, and I want to get that one particular one so I can show you highs and lows. And now you're going to the next page. You're going to do an analysis. You have a visual aid that you can look at every month. That's new every month. And now you're going to go in and you're going to do an analysis. You're going to look at this and say, okay, so here's my analysis. What do I need to work on? Go to the next page in your journey journal and list it out this way. Low-hanging fruit. This is what can you do that's really simple, really easy that you can do right now to make a huge impact in areas that are average. You know, these are okay, but they're falling, so they need some work. Remember in the example I used, family relationships are low, right? But that could be as simple as putting it on your calendar to make a Zoom call with the family for an hour where everybody can catch up. So can you do that? Is it a low-hanging fruit? That's a perfect example of a low-hanging fruit. That will allow you to reconnect with family or reconnect with friends. That will allow you to do something very simple, take an hour out of your week to do. Is it something that you can put into your calendar? That's the key. That's where you want to look at your monthly calendar and see if this is something that you could schedule out a spot, invite your family to, and see if they'll show up. So that is one simple thing that you can do, a low-hanging fruit that you can do that can have a huge impact in a certain area of your life. So write out. What I usually do, because this is on a month basis, is I tell people to write out at least 5, if not 10, low-hanging fruit areas that you can work on. Whatever those low-hanging fruit areas that you can work on. Then put it in your calendar for the month to make sure that it fits. Remember, when we say yes to something, we're saying no to something else. So put it in your calendar, make sure it fits, make sure it's something you can do. Maybe you can only do a bi-weekly meeting with family. That's still a heck of a lot better than not talking to family at all. Right? So you've made a huge impact and reconnected with people that are important in your life, right? So that is an example of a low-hanging fruit. Maybe you see a low-hanging fruit that you need to work on. You've listed out 10 and you say, I just don't have time in my calendar to do this one this month. That's all right, because next month, maybe you will. So leave it there so you can say, we'll look at it next month and see if it's something we can do. So start out by looking at your graph and listing your low-hanging fruit. At least 5, if not 10. You want to have at least 5, if not 10, different low-hanging fruits. So go to your next page in your journey journal, if you're working along with me, and write low-hanging fruit 10, and then underneath, write schedule, and get it listed as to what it's going to look like in your schedule. Open up your Google Calendars or whatever calendar you use for the next month and plug it in to make sure that it fits. Remember, you're saying no to something if you're saying yes to something else. Also, look at, when you're doing this, look at what you're saying to and make sure that you can afford to do that. That's when you'll come up with the solution that this isn't something I can do this month, but it is something I want to do in the future. And you've got this list that you can come back to in a month from now when you're looking at your balanced life graph and you look at this list and you say, oh, I didn't get to do this last month. Let's add it to this month. So you've got a running total on what you can do in your brainstorming as you're working. Then you want to go to your next page in your journey journal and you want to write out top 3 things that need to change. 1, 2, 3. So if you're working along with me on this video, make sure you take out your notebook and you write top 3 things that need to change. These are the number 1 things that need to change. They're going to be the most impactful. They're going to have the biggest ripple effect on your balanced life wheel, and they need to be your number 1 focus for the month, for the future month. So whatever that might be. Now, in the example that we use with the avatar that we used for this example, health is the number one so far area that is super low that can have a huge impact on that person's balanced life and their happiness levels, right? So health is the number one thing that needs to be focused on and looked at as far as changing. So that would be the number one thing. Maybe you find that there's two other areas that are just as impactful that are not health. Maybe the environment is struggling. Maybe you're not planning any recreation or fun time with your family. Maybe your spirituality is coming into question with everything that's going on in the world. So you're just going to look at your balanced life graph when it's done and list those top 3 things. And then write out what steps need to happen in the following month to make changes in these areas. You're not going to change the world all the time. I mean, you're going to have a list of 3 things and you're going to say, well, I need to do like 40 different things to improve this. It's not going to all happen in 1 month, but you will have a list now that you can come back to next month when you're continuing to work on this area as you're seeing improvement. So write out your top 3 things that need to change. And then on the bottom, write 1, and then list out everything that needs to change to make that a better area on your balanced life. So 1, everything. So A, B, C, D, whatever needs, however many things need to change. Again, you're not going to change it all in 1 month. Some will, but most of the time this is long-term. This is like 60 or 90-day plans. These are just action items for your 60 or 90-day plans. The next page, do number 2 and then number 3. So now you've got a good roadmap, a good foundation to start making improvement immediately in your life by finding happiness and finding balance. And that's what this video promised. So if you watch this video, you have received exactly what I said you're going to receive. You're going to receive the number 1 thing, the first thing that you can do to make immediate changes in your life that are going to create happiness and balance. Number 1 thing, analysis. Planning is number 2. I already gave you your second and third steps. Getting it all, getting everything ready to go, and then you can move forward, right? So that is your challenge for this video, is to do your balanced life wheel, as we talked about, then create your low-hanging fruit and put it on the schedule as to what you can change, and then do your top 3 things that need to change, and then write down what you need to do to make those changes in those top 3 areas. Now, that top 3 area is more like a 30, 60, 90-day plan area, right? It's like the actions that need to happen to make changes in that area. So understand that 30, 60, 90 days out, that's a long time from now. So that could change. But as you're working through this every month, you go back to your low-hanging fruit. Did you do it? Did you not do it? You go back to your top 3 things that need to change. What did you get done? What did you not get done? You're crossing things off, working through it. And you look at your previous balanced life graph. After you make your new balanced life graph, these are analysis tools that are going to help you moving forward. That what you worked on this month, at the end of this month, when you do your new balanced life graph, what you worked on this month, and one of the top 3 things that you worked on didn't produce the results you wanted. Maybe you were going in the wrong direction. All of that you wrote down for that is going to change. So redo it again every month. Do your low-hanging fruit and do your top 3 things. Look back and make sure that you're, taking advantage of your brainstorming session from this month. But be open to the fact that things are going to adapt and change. That's one of the biggest struggles that individuals have when they're working on self-improvement or self-help, is being open to the fact that things can change. You've got a plan and you want to stick to it. And yes, you do. You do have a plan. You do want to stick to it. But also be open to the fact that if it's not working, it needs to be adjusted. And that's super important. It's what we oftentimes neglect when we're working on something. Sometimes we get so caught up in, no, I said I'm going to do this, that we forget that it's okay to adapt. It's okay to change, and it's okay to adjust, because it's going to happen, especially when you're working on 30, 60, 90 days. In fact, most people don't work on, we do long-term goals and everything. I don't know if you caught last last live video we did on this channel, we did long-term goals and short-term goals, and that was years in advance. But again, even in that video, I talk about how things can change, how it can be different, and it may not be the same 6 months from now. So be open to that change. All right, so I am opening up the floor to any questions that anybody has. I have 17 minutes for you, so please ask away in the comment section. We got people who are on. Also, feel free to let us know where you're from, and let's chat. I'll give you a few minutes to ask your questions. If there are no questions, I will leave the comment section open on this video so that you can ask your questions in the comment section when you watch this on the replay. And I will either get back to you, let you know that there's a video coming for that or whatever, but I will do my best to get back to you and let you know what's going on with regards to your question. I will try to answer it. Sometimes questions are so broad that they need explanations in videos, and sometimes they're pretty simple where I can just answer the questions through the chat. So I'll just make that determination. So I'll just give you a few minutes. If not, I'll give you back some of your time.
Okay, here. The poster keeps going apart.
It's all right. You'll get it. You got this. You put it together 3 times in this conversation. I watched you.
You watch me, you watch me.
Yeah. I'm so proud of you.
You know, good puzzle now. Right here. Okay.
Look at you go. All right, it looks like we're not going to have any questions during the live chat, and that's a live video, that's fine. But definitely, if you're watching this on replay, please take a moment to go down in the comment section and ask your questions there. Again, I will do my best to get back to you one way or the other and let you know that we're getting you the answer that you're looking for. But yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And we will see you in a couple weeks when we do our next live video. And let me know what area you'd like to see in the next live video. Maybe that could be a focal point or a topic that we'll do in our next live video. So yeah, mommy's going to say goodbye. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will link up everything down below, and as well, let me know again if you have any questions. Thanks so much for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe, like this video, comment, and share if you found this helpful, because if you found this helpful, someone else will find this helpful. If you didn't find this helpful, you never know, somebody else might be needing this information and they will find this helpful. So definitely sharing is caring. Thanks so much for tuning in. And yeah, that's right. I'll see you soon. Bye.